Good evening, this is Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. It's the most gruesome and shocking case of hit and run. Anjali, a 23-year-old victim, run down by 5 drunk men on New Year's night. Now shocking new details are emerging. She was not alone that night. She had a friend named Nidhi who was with her. We managed to track Nidhi down. We'll be playing out her exclusive interview shortly. Why did she flee? Why did she not raise an alarm? Why didn't she complain to the police? Why didn't she even tell anyone in her family that her friend was stuck underneath the chassis of a car? And so far, why have the police been so out of the loop and so behind the curve on this case? Up until this morning, this was not public knowledge that there was a second person along with Anjali. We also speak to an eyewitness who claims that he was chasing this car, this Baleno car in which there were 5 drunk men under whose car Anjali was stuck for over 2 hours. He was trying to track down this car for over an hour, and 3 PCR vans passed him by, but they did nothing. But first, the story which has outraged all of India.
If you thought that this was the most chilling footage of the Delhi hit and drag horror from the 1st of January, then think again. Multiple CCTV clips have emerged in the last 24 hours, deepening the mystery over what happened in Sultanpuri. The first big twist is that the victim, Anjali, was not alone when her scooty was hit by a Baleno in which there were 5 drunk male occupants. This clip from 1:17 a.m. shows both girls fighting in front of a hotel after attending a New Year's party. According to the staff, both girls were asked to leave.
मैनेजर ने बोला था कि लड़ाई झगड़ा मत करो, बाकी सब गेस्ट डिस्टर्ब हो रहे हैं, तो जाने के लिए बोला था। तो लड़कियां लड़ती थी, फिर नीचे लड़ रही थी, तो फिर नीचे से वो सीधी चली गई।
A second clip from 1:31 a.m. shows both girls leaving from the venue on the scooty. It appears that initially Anjali was riding pillion, but later switched places with her friend. Now this footage is the clincher. At 2:05 a.m., both women are seen on the scooty in a deserted road. Moments later, a Baleno comes from the opposite direction. This is believed to be the moment of the crash, when the car knocked down the scooty. Because the next second, you can see a pair of slippers flying in the air and landing on the road. According to Delhi police sources, the friend fled the scene after the crash, while Anjali's leg got stuck in the axle of the car and she was dragged along with the vehicle.
डिसीज्ड के साथ एक और लड़की थी और उसको कोई इंजरी नहीं हुई थी और वो उठकर वहां से चली गई थी और वो पुलिस के साथ कोऑपरेट कर रही है।
Anjali's body was dragged for 10 to 12 kilometers. Deepak Khanna, who was driving the car, reportedly felt something stuck, but others dismissed him and they kept driving. Then nearly 1.5 hours later, the car can be seen taking a U-turn and a body can be clearly seen under the vehicle. It was while taking a U-turn that another accused, Mithun, spotted a hand under the vehicle. Once the car was stopped, the body came off and the accused panicked and fled the scene. The post-mortem ruled out any sexual assault and stated that Anjali's death is a clear case of accident, one that has left the entire nation shaken to the core.
Meanwhile, News 18 managed to track down Anjali's friend Nidhi, and it's the only channel to speak to her about what exactly happened on that fateful night on the 1st of January early morning between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Listen in to the account of this friend Nidhi.
वो अपने आपे में नहीं थी, बिल्कुल बहुत ड्रिंक कर रखी थी, मतलब उसने, तो मैंने कहा नहीं मैं चलाऊंगी, उसने बोला मैं चलाऊंगी। मैंने फिर क्या बोला उसको, मैंने कही जब वो मानी नहीं ना, जब मेरे से ज्यादा जिद बहस करने लग गई, हाथापाई करने लग गई, तो मैंने उसकी चाबी उसको दे दी। मैंने कहा ले तू अपनी चाबी बहन, तू चला स्कूटी। वो लेके गई आगे तक, हम ट्रक में भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे जी, ट्रक में भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे। फिर मैंने पीछे बैठ के मैंने ब्रेक मारा, ट्रक में हम भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे, क्योंकि उस दौरान मेरी भी मौत हो सकती थी। बस उस हादसे से मैं बच गई। मैंने ट्रक से हम भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे, मैंने ब्रेक मारा। ब्रेक मारने के बाद उसने बहुत ज्यादा ड्रिंक कर रखी थी, बहुत ज्यादा। हमने ब्रेक मारा, ब्रेक मारने के बाद हम आगे लेके गए उसको, स्कूटी को आगे लेके मैंने समझाया। फिर मेरे से हाथापाई करने लगी, कह रही मैं ही चलाऊंगी मेरी स्कूटी। ट्रक से बचे हम, फिर कह रही मैं ही चलाऊंगी मेरी स्कूटी। मैंने कहा ठीक है तू ही चला। दी सामने से वो कार आ रही थी, कार आते आते हम थे स्कूटी पे, मैं पीछे बैठी थी। जब मेरे को लगा ना कि ये संभाल नहीं पाएगी तो मैं जब वो मान ही नहीं रही थी कि मैं ही चलाऊंगी अपनी स्कूटी, मैं ही चलाऊं, तो मैंने पीछे से बैठ के मैं संभाल रही थी स्कूटी। संभालने के बाद संभालते संभालते वो भी आगे बैठी थी, वो एकदम वो लड़के आए आगे से, सामने सामने की टक्कर थी, वो आए सामने से और हम भी सामने से आ रहे थे। मैं साइड गिर गई उल्टी साइड, और वो सामने बिल्कुल अंदर फंस गई, कनेक्टर साइड बिल्कुल सीधे की साइड फंस गई। वो फंसने के बाद वो चीख भी रही है कि मुझे बचाओ, निकालो। तो उसने बोला कि मैं बचाओ। उन्होंने उसको नहीं निकाला। उन्होंने जानबूझ के, उनको पता था कि लड़की उनकी गाड़ी के नीचे है, से बहुत डर गई थी। मैं उस हादसे से बहुत डर गई थी।
और आप उसको अकेले छोड़ के चले गई थी वहां पर जब एक्सीडेंट हुआ, वो बलेनो गाड़ी से?
उसको गाड़ी ले गई थी खींच कर।
गाड़ी खींच के ले गई थी, तो आपने पीसीआर को कभी कॉल नहीं की? पुलिस को नहीं बताया आपने?
नहीं, क्योंकि मेरा उस दौरान फोन भी टूट गया था। फोन टूटने पर मैं बहुत होपलेस हो गई थी। मेरे को जो ठीक लगा अपने घर जाना। अगर वो हादसा मेरे साथ होता, वो भी यही करती, वो अपने घर जाती।
आप अपने घर पे किसी को बताया था? अपने घर जाके किसी को बताया था आपने इस बारे में?
घर पे जाके किसी को बताया था, अपनी मम्मी को बस ये बताया था कि हाँ मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया और ऐसे ऐसे हो गया, बस इतना। क्योंकि मैं रोई इतना रही थी, क्योंकि मैं परेशान हो गई थी, होपलेस हो गई थी ज्यादा।
मतलब वो लड़के अंजलि को वहीं पर मिले पांचों?
नहीं, वो लड़के तो जानते ही नहीं थे, ना अंजलि को ना मुझे। लड़कों ने अपनी गाड़ी के ब्लैक शीशे कर रखे थे, कुछ लगा रखा था गाड़ी, मतलब काले कर रखे थे उन्होंने, कुछ लगा रखा था चिपकूट को। तो उन लड़कों की हमें शकल, मेरे को नहीं दिखी शकल। वो तो अंजलि तो नीचे ही फंस गई थी, नीचे से ही वो चिल्ला रही थी कि मुझे बचाओ, मुझे बचाओ। वो
कितने
लड़के
बजे का
मेरे
वाकया था
ऊपर
ये?
गाड़ी चल, ये रात को 2 बजे हम वहां से निकले हैं। ये 2-3 के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। 2-3 के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। वो गाड़ी ने बिल्कुल हमें ठोक दिया, हमने बचाव भी करा उस गाड़ी ने।
आपको पुलिस ने कैसे तलाश करा? आपको दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक?
उन्होंने मुझे, मेरे घर पे आ गए थे बस।
All right, I want to piece together the entire set of sequence of events of the CCTV footages that we have. Let's go back and check for the first one. This happens at 1:17 a.m. You can see Anjali and Nidhi coming out. Anjali is the one in the red jacket, and Nidhi is there already standing at that scooter. Both of them then go towards the scooty which belongs to Anjali. There is some kind of argument, some kind of altercation between the two girls. And there is also some amount of pushing and shoving that goes on. What that altercation was, subsequently in Nidhi's interview you heard that it was about who will drive the scooty. Nidhi claims that Anjali was drunk, she was fighting with her not to drive, and then eventually if you go to the next clip, which is about 15 minutes later at 1:31 a.m, you can see Nidhi sort of sitting on the driver's seat of this scooter, and then she's the one who starts out by driving that scooter. You can see them leave from that hotel. About half an hour later, a little past 2 o'clock in the morning, in the third CCTV footage, you can see by this time they have changed places. Once again, it's Anjali who's in the front seat and Nidhi is pillion riding. You can see the scooty coming on the one side, and it's at exactly this moment at 2:05 in the morning. You can see the Baleno. Let's go to the next video. The Baleno car, which is coming from the opposite side of the road. That is the Baleno car. This is where the crash happened between the car coming from the one direction, and you have Nidhi and Anjali on the two-wheeler coming from the other side. And then you can see in the next clip, as this Baleno car is going away, you can see two slippers flying away. One falls to the left side of the road at this car that's parked stationary on this side of the road, and then the other slipper falls on the other side of the road. That is believed to be the slippers of the two victims, and you can hear Nidhi talk about that as well. And then an hour later, in fact an hour and a half later, at 3:34 a.m. in the morning, you can see this car take a U-turn, and you can clearly see the body stuck below the chassis of this car. Clearly, the 5 drunk boys who were in this car knew about it. Nidhi has referred to it, and it's impossible that you have a dead body under your car and no one knows about it. Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us. Shazia Ilmi is spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Onika Mehrotra, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Priyanka Kakkar, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Srivastava is former Delhi Police Commissioner, Tahira Hassan is a social activist, and Anubha Rastogi, senior advocate, joining us as well. Shazia Ilmi, We've just played out the version of the friend who was with Anjali on that night. She says that they had a fight. Anjali had reportedly drunk. Therefore, she didn't want her to drive the bike. She insisted on driving the bike. And then she goes on and this accident happens. She sees her friend stuck under the car and she does not alert anyone, neither the police nor her family members nor any passing bystanders. Do you believe that her story adds up?
I would like to vilify a friend of the deceased. I think something terrible has happened. And I do believe it would have been very shocking and scary for Nidhi, the person you're talking about. So I won't like to castigate her. I mean, it's understandable that she was scared and what all was happening at that point of time. We saw some footage of how things played out. They had a bit of a scruff. And I understand that she would have said that, I don't want you to drive. I would like to drive myself. Maybe you had something to drink. But I mean, the entire thing is really shocking, I don't know what kind of men are these. And I cannot believe, even if you have music playing or not playing, when you're driving, you would know. You would know. And especially when the car has hit a person, there's a scooty, and apparently it was a headlong shave.
Yeah.
So you would know. So I think it's terrible. It's terrible that this happened.
No, but the reason I asked you that, and she goes on to say, her phone got destroyed in the melee. Okay, fine, we believe that. She says, I went home. Did you tell anybody in your family? She said, no, I just told my mother that mere saath accident hui hai. Yes, she was in shock, no doubt about it. But put any of us in that position. If we have a friend who is stuck under the chassis of a car and whose body is being dragged out, the least we'll do is, cry out loud, raise an alarm.
No, we would not. Many of us would not do that. Some of us would, even if it was not a friend. But many of us would get scared, would not. And a lot of men wouldn't do that. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of family members, to protect their own, would not. To protect themselves, won't. This is the nature of who we are as a people. And so I don't want to say, and I don't know how much truth the Nidhi is saying, is owning up to, where her parents are concerned. So, just because she's scared to own up something, because she was part of it, she says, and I heard her correctly, that she learned of it the next day. But she saw what happened. But she also, she incriminates the men. She says she could have been saved. So she doesn't let the men get away.
No, fair enough. Look, those men are under arrest. They should, the strictest punishment that the law can afford should be meted out on them.
Why vilify another girl? Let's vilify the men.
Let's talk about the lack of... I agree with that. No one is trying to take away the focus from these brutes, these absolute brutes who, despite knowing that a body was stuck under their car, continued to drive on for a good 10 to 12 kilometers. I want to ask Dr. Onika Mehrotra of the Congress. The point is that over the course of this 2 hours, at 2:04 or 2:05, this accident happens. And then at 3:30, the first set of PCR calls happen. The police reach at 4:15. So a good 2 hours plus, this body was driven around in this stretch in Sultanpuri for 10 to 12 kilometers. The occupants of the car knew there was a dead body. They didn't bother to stop. The police, at least 3 PCR calls went out. And I'll play out, we have a bite of an eyewitness as well a little later on in the program. But at least 3 PCR calls went out. And the police only reached at 4:15, a good 2 hours and 15 minutes later.
So, because you see, I feel the tagline of the police, nyay, seva, suraksha, I mean, it doesn't even befit them now. It's unfortunate with such kind of tagline. What kind of performance is this? So it has been happening in Delhi, and I've seen other reporters, sir, who've been to that area and have taken a recce of that area. They say that there are lampposts, but there are no lights in it. I mean, and there was, they did that kind of the scene there, but they could not find any PCR after the event also, after the episode, after this ghastly act. So what I'm trying to say is that it's mere lip service. None of us are concerned of the fact that these things are happening in and around. So I think it's high time that we stop lip service. Nirbhaya case was enough for us to understand the gravity of the situation, sir. And now we are not bothered about what's happening in Nirbhaya Fund. What about fast track court? What are we doing with all this Mahila Ayog and stuff like that? So there's no fear. No fear at all of the law, and they know very well how to dilute it and find lacunas in it and scrape through without being even, getting any punishment.
Priyanka Kakkar, I think Dr. Mehrotra has a point. After Nirbhaya happened, there were a bunch of committees that sat, retired Supreme Court justices looked into it. J.S. Verma committee was there as well. And many of those recommendations that were made, including creating a distress signal service for women, a one-stop center for rape victims, woman police constable in every station, all female police stations. Tell our viewers. I mean, you've been in power for the last 8 years in Delhi. What have you done to change this? You had promised X number of street lamps across Delhi and 1.4 or 1.5 lakh CCTVs across Delhi. What has happened to all of that? Yes, the policing was appalling, no doubt about it. And I'll ask Mr. Kakkar about it. Sorry, Mr. Srivastava about it. But you please tell us about these other measures that were promised to be implemented after Nirbhaya.
Zaka, good evening to everyone. Zaka, I can go on and enlist that we have CCTV cameras which are higher, which are in excess of what Paris sees. But I want to please not divert the issue, and this is completely a failure of investigation that you will see. Even you see how it was tried. They tried to dilute the issue. Initially, they came out with a 304A. We saw the condition of the dead body online. All of us saw it. A mere look at the pictures that surfaced. That was not a mere case of negligence. It could not be so. They tried to water it down by a 304A. And now I'm informed through media reports that they have perhaps added a 304. But then I also hear the victim's statement today, which says that usko cheekhe sunai di, or cheekhe sunai di, that means that it was intentional. They dragged the body intentionally. This is a clear case. Then it'll be a murder case, because the victim was alive at the time when they were dragging the body. You have to question the police role. I heard the eyewitness statement. The eyewitness said that he stopped at 3 PCRs and none of them showed any interest.
I will play that out. I'll play that in a second. I'll get Mr. Srivastava to respond. But please answer the question I asked, ma'am. Distress buttons, CCTV cameras, your street lamp. I mean, look, even in this latest incident, this was a very, very dimly lit area. What have you done on those promises? Those don't come under the Delhi police.
We have implemented those promises, and there is no doubt about it. It is official data you can see. You can go on the Delhi roads and see. I am telling you, this is about investigation this time. Why hasn't anyone been suspended till now? We will again see a no one killed at Morbi. No one, Hathras was an international conspiracy. The law and order situation in the city is going from bad to worse. We've been repeatedly telling the LG that, he likes to come and take credit for Delhi government's work, or tang rani hoti kaam mein Delhi government ke. But when it comes to law and order, there are 209 police stations in Delhi. Which one has he visited till date? How many meetings has he taken?
Look, we can go on and on about this political tutu meme between AAP and BJP. You're well within your right to do that. I'm not stopping you from doing that. But I don't think that is going to fix Delhi's problems when it comes to women's safety. I don't think that is going to make Delhi a safer place for women. Okay, let me now ask Mr. Srivastava, and I agree with you. Rightfully, the Delhi police and its role needs to be questioned. But I want to play out Deepak's soundbite. Just give me 30 seconds, Mr. Srivastava. Deepak is one of the eyewitnesses. He says that at 3:30 he saw this car pass by his shop. There was a body stuck under it. He called the PCR. He called the police, the 112 helpline number. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. He said over a period of 1 hour, he was trying to chase this car down. 3 PCR vans passed him by, and none of them did anything. Let me just play that out for 30 seconds, and then I'll go across to Mr. Srivastava.
मैं लाडपुर पहुंचता हूं तो गाड़ी आगे से एक पीसीआर गाड़ी मेरे को आती नजर आई, और उसी टाइम लाइन पे मेरे साथ जो जनाब थे जिससे मेरी बात चल रही थी पहले, मां जनाब पीसीआर आ रही है सामने से, अगर इसके पास मैसेज हो तो ये इस गाड़ी को रोक सकता है, हम इससे बिल्कुल 50 से 60 मीटर पीछे हैं। लेकिन वो बोले नहीं ये टच में नहीं है, और हम वहां से क्रॉस होते हुए बिल्कुल सीधे चले गए, और वो पीसीआर भी हमको शायद देख नहीं पाई, या हमारे वो इन्फॉर्मेशन उसके पास नहीं थी, या वो हमको झूठा समझ रहे थे। लेकिन मैं फिर भी पीछा करते करते यहाँ से लेके बेगमपुर, यहाँ से तकरीबन 10 किलोमीटर पड़ता है, वहाँ तक गया हूँ। 3 पीसीआर इस दौरान मेरे से क्रॉस हुई हैं। किसी ने जैसे वही बात फिर आ रही है, या तो रोल घूमने के चक्कर में मेरी एग्जिट लोकेशन उन्होंने नोट नहीं कर पाई या मेरे पास तक पहुंचना नहीं।
3 PCRs passed him by over a period of 1 hour, Mr. Srivastava, and none of them did a thing. Surely there can't be anything more devastating and damaging than that.
See, on the face of it, I do feel that there has been lapses. These lapses, I say, because the body had travelled, the vehicle had travelled some 13 kilometers. This is what I was told.
Yeah.
13 kilometers with the body attached to it, and it was not spotted by any of the police vans or the police pickets, which normally are patrolling parties, and over a long period of time. So on the basis of this, I feel that there has been lapses. But at the same time, I do not at this stage either dismiss or consider the statement of the various people that witnessed that you have told me as a gospel truth. These statements have to be corroborated. It has to be examined properly. How much has the police, how much has the police response has been bad, and this requires a detailed inquiry, and only after that we will be able to find out.
But Mr. Srivastava, if you were to go
see,
just by the
let me complete. Let me complete. You see, one witness you have mentioned about Nidhi, the girl who was riding the same bike. She did not do her part of the role, what she was supposed to do. And secondly, this Deepak or whoever, I was told that the vehicle was traveling only at the speed of 20 kilometers, and they followed. If somebody was traveling at 20 kilometers chasing it on a bike, he would have done much more than what he has done, just informing. So on the basis of these statements, whether how much truth is there, whether they are overstating, at this point
fair
of
enough.
time,
These are not gospel truth. This has to be put in a court of law and examined. No, but Mr. Srivastava, can I ask a simple question? There is a timestamp on all these CCTV footages, and from the timestamp it is clear that a little past 2 a.m. this crash happens, and the body is stuck under this car at 2 a.m. Eventually, the police, the first PCR van reaches this body. The body has already been dumped. It comes off the car, and the car flees from there at 4:15 a.m. On New Year's Eve, when there is heightened security across Delhi for various reasons, when there is extra police presence across Delhi, for 2 hours and 15 minutes, there is a body stuck under a car, and this car is roaming around one part of Delhi. Isn't that itself a concern?
See, this 2 hour and 15 minutes, this is what you are saying. I will again not take this thing as totally correct. I will go by the actual record, which will come to know only after the investigation at what time the accident took place and thereafter. But whatever it is, I do feel that so much of time should not have elapsed for the police to respond quickly. So there has been in terms of response.
Okay.
And number two, encountering the vehicle somewhere on the road, that should have happened. These two things I do feel that should have happened.
Let me go to Anubha Rastogi and to Tahira Hassan. Anubha Rastogi, the point that was made, I think, by one of the earliest political party spokespersons also, the police did not put the culpable homicide not amounting to murder charge on day one. Now, the investigators would tell you that, not all charges are put on the first day. But if there are eyewitnesses, including Nidhi, who has said what she has said, and this Deepak, who has said what he has said, it was clear that these men knew. And it's impossible that you're driving a car, no matter how much you've rolled up the windows and no matter how loud the music is, if you have a human body stuck in the axle of your car, there is no way you won't know about it. These guys knew that there was a body that was stuck. How is it that the police can get away with the fact that culpable homicide not amounting to murder was not put on day one.
See, let me just be very clear about this, and I mean, not taking away from the brutality of what has happened and the police lapses in the patrolling, etc. But where the FIR is lodged, the FIR is based on the first information. That's what it's called. So it will be based on what is known at that point. These statements of witnesses are being recorded after the FIR has been lodged. Of course, there are provisions where even sections can be added in the FIR itself later, which I believe is what now the police is saying that they are going to do. Because the fact remains that culpable homicide not amounting to murder or even murder really requires a better degree of proof. This is, to begin with, it definitely is a rash and negligent act. Whether then on investigation, if they realize that there was intention, there was knowledge that the act is, likely to cause death, etc., then of course the degree changes.
Okay.
But to begin with, most definitely it was a rash and negligent act.
No.
But I think I do want to emphasize the fact that thank God that there were CCTV recordings. My question is that if there are CCTV cameras, is there no one watching these cameras? Is there no person manning them to actually see what is being recorded, what is really taking place? Why are we relying on CCTV cameras only post facto, only after something has happened? And of course, the fact that remains that, and I'm glad that Mr. Srivastava has also, acknowledged that there was, for such a long time, there was no patrolling being done on New Year's Eve. In any other day, even, I mean, I wouldn't excuse it on any other day, even otherwise. But New Year's Eve, definitely. How is it that they were able to travel for that long without no one stopping them, no one, wanting to do a normal check with them, that there are 5 boys in a car on New Year's Eve? Are they drunk? Are they not? What's going on?
No, and as per one of the eyewitnesses, and again, I don't want to say that that's the gospel truth, but if this is what those 5 boys were doing, they were basically driving around the same stretch, taking a U-turn, coming back, taking a U-turn, coming back. Then they clearly, A, knew what they were doing, and B, no car in the dead of the night or at 3 a.m. in the morning or 2 a.m. in the morning when there is no traffic is going to be driving knowingly at 20 or 25 kilometers an hour. Surely they will be speeding. The fact that they couldn't speed was because there was a dead body that was stuck under the car, and they knew that there was a dead body stuck under the car. Otherwise, they would have gone at 60, 70, 100 even.
That's right. And see, one doesn't really know what substance they had taken. Were they drunk? Were they high? What was their mental condition? One doesn't know, and I really don't want to get into that because that probably will be part of their defense. I don't want to get into that. I do want to keep emphasizing the fact that while the case will take its own course and the witnesses will be examined and all of that, I do want to keep emphasizing the fact that this is Delhi. This is where the Jyoti Singh case happened. A lot of funds were also earmarked for safety, etc. How is it that on New Year's Eve, there is no patrolling being done in one part of the capital of the country? And for almost 2.5 hours, there is someone who has been dragged and who was alive and then is now found dead.
No, Tahira Hassan, there is a larger issue that we need to talk about. And I think, 10 years ago, Nirbhaya happened and we said all of these things. There were television shows, there was outrage, just like we are seeing today. There was justice for Nirbhaya campaigns. Today there is justice for Anjali campaigns that are happening. And all of these, and I want to go through them one by one, whether it is creating distress signals for women, signal services for women. We have that in some public transport now. One-stop centers for rape victims, women police constables in every police station, all-female police stations, effective crime mapping and gender sensitization, street lights across all corners of Delhi. None of this seems to have come to pass 10 years on.
Yes, very true. It's very sad. It's a spine-chilling incident, that shocked the entire nation once again. After Nirbhaya, the Justice Verma Committee was constituted because we women protested and struggled for that. And after that, we got very strong law in our hands, but that is not implemented. 3,000 Nirbhaya Fund is not utilized properly, for safety and security of the women. Here we are all talking. We are not going to do a blame game here. And because I don't belong to any political party. Thing is this, that the girl was dragged 12 kilometers on the New Year Eve. Police commissioner is saying 16,000 police personnel were deployed? For whom? My question. Why there was not a single PCR van? No patrolling. The women's security is not on priority. This means only lip service. And now new angle has come that you also showed that female friend Nidhi was with Anjali at the time of accident, but she fled away. And she said she's so scared and all. What is scared? What kind of friend is this? I mean, she did not inform to police. She did not inform to Anjali's family. Look at the Deepak. He was not friend or a family friend. But at least he had a courage to inform the PCR. And they did not take any action. So action must be taken against that. And if this Shazia Ilmi is saying not focusing on that is really shameful.
Shazia, respond to that, and I have a follow-up question to that as well. Yeah, but respond to that. I find it unbelievable that you're a friend or even a stranger for that matter. You do nothing.
Talk about the female security. Their lapses are
there. Yeah, let her respond, ma'am. Let her
shameful.
respond.
Tahira ji, it's very shameful that you're attacking another woman, another girl who was probably very scared.
I'm saying you're not talking about police.
You should be ashamed of yourself that you're blaming a girl. Deepak was an eyewitness and a very responsible man, and he did what he did. And this girl was probably scared. Do you realize people are scared? We've all been there, Tahira ji. And fear is a very big thing. It makes people do. And you, so as a woman, you're maligning
I
another
will
girl.
stand up for my friend.
I will stand up for
So one at a time, please. One at a time. Let Shazia finish, ma'am. Ma'am, please. Let Shazia finish. Yeah, thank you.
Let's not cast aspersions on each other and on a young girl, is all I'm saying.
No, but Shazia, what about the fact that from 3:30 a.m. till 4:15 a.m.,
Yeah,
three
I'll talk
PCR
about
calls
that.
were made, at least 3 PCR vans
that-
passed by this
that
man,
indeed
and
is-
these guys
that
were
is
circling
shameful.
around the same area and nobody knew. The police didn't know.
That indeed is very shameful. I mean, that cannot be condoned. I don't know what to say. You know, I mean, even if you could not see that, when Deepak could see that there is a body being dragged, do you think no one else could? And when there were 3 phone calls, why didn't anybody? So you can't pardon that at all. There is no justification for that, you see. And we were all on the streets in Nirbhaya Andolan. We were there. We talked about this. I mean, I was part of the Arvind team and we said we should give these phones when a woman can just press the button. Where the local RWA would be part of it. I worked on those things, you see. So I'm very distressed. But all I'm saying here is that let's not vilify another girl. Girls are scared. Mera naam aa jayega. I was there. She was part of the scene. Deepak wasn't. He was a good Samaritan. That's all I'm saying. It's very easy to pass judgment. That's all I'm saying.
I am
that's the
convinced
only
that
point I
yes,
made.
police and their role absolutely needs to be questioned and brutally and
course,
honestly questioned.
of course,
But
and I
at the
will
same
not-
time, policing is only one part of stopping this crime. Street lights are as much a part of it. CCTV is as much part of it. One-stop center for rape victims is as much part of it. Women police officers in every police station, that is a part of it. All of this
No,
needs
but
to
what
come
about these
together.
men?
And I'm not seeing that
these
happen.
Men and the families they come from.
Yes, absolutely.
These men,
yes,
the families
yes,
they
that
come
too.
from.
Absolutely.
The conditioning.
Yes.
The conditioning. How they brought up. What is the society we live in? What are we doing about that?
No,
What is
absolutely.
the curriculum we grow up on? What is the conditioning that we have? What are we taught in the way? What are the mandirs and the masjids and all the religiosity that we are taught? That none of that. I mean, I wish somebody spoke about this at every public meeting, at every forum. That this is how you treat women. This is how you treat girls. I think that's very important part of it.
Yeah.
Law and order is a very important part of it. But you can't have
Kakkar. I
I
had an interview with Dr. Kiran Bedi, which I'll play out in the latter part of this show, and she said something very pertinent. I'll ask this to Mr. Srivastava also, that up until a few years ago, and this was one of the changes after Nirbhaya, that was implemented after Nirbhaya, there were these mobile PCR vans that were all centrally tracked. There was a central control room which tracked every mobile PCR van that was going through Delhi. And these beat constables on bullets who used to be constantly on the move across Delhi. And it was a centralized system where if the distress call was made, it's the control room that knew which was the closest PCR van or which was the closest beat constable, and they would ask them to rush to that spot immediately. She says over the last couple of years, a decision had been taken, maybe economic reasons or whatever reasons were, that these PCR vans and these beat constables and their bullets got assigned to local thanas. So now if you call 112, they will then have to call the local thana, and the local thana then decides whether to send a PCR van or a constable on a bullet to the nearest spot. And that, she says, is delaying this whole process. So Priyanka, Kakkar, and then after that, S.N. Srivastava on that.
Zaka, let me first answer about the street lights. We have a Mukhyamantri Streetlight Yojana scheme under which we have already, there's already 117,000 streetlights that have been planted, 117,000, and it's still an ongoing process. It's not stopped.
Ma'am, look at this footage. I'm showing you 5 videos. In none of those 5 videos, we are able to see adequately lit streets. 5 CCTV videos, not one.
You are seeing the
Not two.
CCTV, CCTVs have also been planted.
What was the elected representative doing there?
One second, ma'am. Yeah, let Priyanka finish. Yeah, Priyanka.
Unfortunately, I am telling you that the policing system is so bad. Like I gave the example pehle that they watered down the charges. Even now, I disagree with Shazia ji that there is a conditioning and women mindset and whatnot. She said, you know, if I'm with a friend and there's an accident, the accident is not my fault. I will raise a hue and cry. So her role also needs to be investigated. As far as I'm concerned, I would say that, you know, why when we talk about police, it is, I mean, I read through media reports. Thankfully, 2 accused have admitted to being drunk. There is no MLC could have been conducted because the incident was of 31st night and they were arrested sometime around 2nd. What alcohol will remain in the system? Look at the bad investigation that is happening. That is the focus. Incident has happened. But even now, if we don't bring our focus to the investigation and investigation alone, we will again have a no one killed at Morbi. Let me say that with full responsibility.
Mr. Srivastava,
can only do so much.
I mean, 2 of the 5 accused reportedly said that they had consumed alcohol. Therefore, now we know that they have consumed alcohol. But if a medical test had to be conducted, because they were arrested 2 or 3 days later after this incident happened, it's not like alcohol is going to remain in their system.
How will the courts convict even in the end? We need to question the investigation. Why is no one suspended now? Who are they trying to protect? Why
Mr. Srivastava, also the question on of all these, I mean, if there were 3 PCR vans that passed by, and this eyewitness is saying that in one other PCR van there were police constables who were drunk sitting inside that PCR van. Why has no action been taken? It's been 3 days now.
You see, I mean, you are basically repeating the same thing all over again. As I said, that the witnesses or any statement, whatever has been said, no action will be taken on the basis of the statement. There is an inquiry, it's a due process, and this will be done, I am very sure. And let me tell you, the number of disciplinary action which are taken in police far, outnumber any other department. So, I mean, let nobody be this impression that action will not be taken. Commensurate action will definitely be taken. See, I want to say one thing, because I had been a police commissioner and I had the kind of work I had done and others had done. I know about it. Lot has been done. If I say this thing now, one is not going to believe it. But a lot of action has been taken in the field of safety of women. Number 2, I also want to say, while this has been done, what has the society done to also improve the quality or the moral conduct of its own young persons? This also we must try to dwell into. You had asked about one thing about the PCR van.
Yeah.
See, PCR van, of course, it is, when I was the police commissioner, there were more than 800 PCR vans spread all over Delhi, and it was centrally controlled. Well, somebody decided that it will be better if we keep it under control of the police station. It was a decision taken in good faith, whether good or bad, we should not say, but the intention certainly was good. So there is a need to look into this thing also, whether how the PCR van should be organized or reorganized, whatever it is. But I am very sure also at the same time that the investigation which has commenced, which is under a special CP, Women Police Officer Shalini Singh, she will do a good job and give her time. There's no need to doubt on everything that the police is doing. She had been the area officer of that side and she will do a good job.
Okay, let me give the final word to Tahira Hassan and then Anubha Rastogi and then Tahira Hassan. Anubha Rastogi, again, what has also happened is many of these cases, of course, there is now the media spotlight on this case. The media spotlight will go away in a few days as long as, another story will come and that will be on the headlines. The point is that we thought that after Nirbhaya, institutional mechanisms are being put in place, whether it's in safety, crime prevention, or even fast-tracking justice for the victims of crimes against women. But none of that seems to be in play. Again, a young woman has lost her life in the most brutal fashion. And God knows this case will also go on.
See, that's the thing. These are steps which cannot be a one-time affair. It is something that needs to be constantly looked at, constantly. There needs to be accountability, not only from us, from the state, from the government, from the courts, really questioning that whether these directions, whether these guidelines, on all of that. I mean, we have numerous laws, we have numerous guidelines. The Supreme Court keeps saying, keeps giving directions. The Delhi High Court does that. What really is required is accountability, and we need to keep seeing that whether these aspects are being implemented constantly or not. That's definitely one thing. One thing that is really bothering me, and I do want to take up some time to speak on that, is really we can't replace ourselves with what we would have done if we were in that place. There was someone who was there and she reacted how she reacted, and I think we should leave it at that. Let's not give fodder to the defense counsels already, please.
Okay.
Because all we are doing is we are giving them enough to weaken the case that we are ensuring will should lead to conviction.
Tahira Hassan, I'll give you the final word. Again, I keep going back to this because I think one of the panelists also said this is not just an ordinary night. This is New Year's Eve. The Delhi police had put in place 16,500 police personnel across the capital. 2,500 of them were women personnel, and there were 1,600 nakabandis, or these blockades that they put on nights such as this. 1,600 of them across Delhi, and yet for 2 hours between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. there was a young woman stuck under a car being driven by these 5 brutes over 12 kilometers.
Yes, it's a shameful that 16,000 police personnel were deployed for the safety and security of the people of Delhi, national capital. And there were not a single PCR on the road. I mean, they dragged the girl 12 kilometers. Shameful. Even after the Nirbhaya, still we are fighting for the safety and security of the women. Again, I will say, after Nirbhaya, Justice Verma Committee constituted, and we have very strong law in our hands that should be implemented properly.
Okay.
That the gist of that law is the state and the institution must stand with the victim, and the redressal of such cases should be fast-track court within the limited time, so the witness will not be hostile.
Okay. All right. I got to wrap up. I'm completely out of time. I want to thank all our guests. We really, really hope that this case comes to some kind of a conclusion, some kind of a closure, and there is justice for the family of Anjali. But at a more institutional level, we look at what police reforms need to be done. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, like I said, I'm going to speak to former top cop of Delhi, Dr. Kiran Bedi, and ask her what are the institutional corrections that need to be done to try and fix policing in Delhi, particularly when it comes to women's safety. That's on the other side.